Hello and welcome to the very first live stream for Zombicide Dead Men Tales. I'm David Waybright, the marketing and communications lead for Asmodee Crowdfunding, and I'm here with a first ever experience for me. A pirate is my co-host today. This is Caitlyn, the director of board games from FFG, and we've got a few things to cover today, all about Dead Men Tales, but we wanted to talk a little bit first about FFG, Guillotine Games, and sort of this mashup.
Yeah. I mean, clearly there's a very low level of excitement around the studio. We weren't ready at all for this, but we're here now and we're very excited to be with y'all. This is my buddy Flighty hanging out here on my shoulder. And we think this is pretty much the perfect pairing. Not just me and Flighty, but FFG
I thought you were talking about us.
I mean, us too. There's so many good pairings going on already today. But for FFG and Zombicide specifically, FFG has always been known for immersive, deep storytelling, gaming experiences that really pull players into the environment and into what you're doing. And because Zombicide is a game that's already well known for that, we just know that this was the perfect pairing from the start.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand, I've been here at the FFG offices, which, by the way, is a bit of a fan experience for myself. And not just Caitlyn, but the whole team here have been coming in, taking a look at the game. There's a lot of excitement here. But you're probably excited to see maybe your first ever look at the trailer for Dead Men Tales. Let's take a look.
So we've already been talking about quite a number of really cool pairings so far in this stream, and I think that Zombicide and Pirates is an incredibly cool matchup. Why do you think it's taken this long for Pirates to come into Zombicide?
I have the same question. I think Pirates makes perfect sense. I think this has been something a lot of people wanted to see for a very long time. I think a lot of what Zombicide has done over the last few years is interesting, but Pirates, I can tell you firsthand, and you get a little taste of it watching that trailer, but playing the game, you definitely lean into that sort of pirate theme. You play like a pirate. There's a lot of different elements to the game that kind of lean into a faster pace. And actually, we have Tiago here. He is the senior producer for Guillotine Games, and he's going to answer as many of our questions as possible on all of those elements of the game.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, it's pirate time. No, I'm just thirsty. It's only plain water. Yeah, I think one of the first things I love about this game is like just the tiles, just the look of them. Shout out to Henning, what he did there with those beautiful aquamarine sea zones, and that those tiles make the game play very differently from the usual Zombicide because you have all those water zones which, like, survivors don't really fare very well in these cursed waters, so you just can't enter them. So basically, while the zombies, which don't care about breathing and all that stuff, they can just wade those zones. You are going to have to find different ways to navigate that. And one of the cool kind of swashbuckling aspects that you'll find there is those rope zones where in specific points on the tiles you'll find a rope tied to a mast, and then you can use that to swing around like from a pier to the deck of a ship and back. And this creates a very fun strategic flow of survivors trying to evade zombies and luring them and just flying back and forth, like skipping 2-3 zones in a single leap. So it's tough movement because sometimes you can get stuck if you don't get access to those rope zones. But then when you are in a strategic position, you can do like amazing turns with.
So did you talk at all about the governor and pirate zones there? And sorry, I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, so bear with us through that.
Yeah, so I hope you heard all that. Yeah, I talked about the sea zones and the ropes. One thing about the zones themselves, you also have searching for equipment is a bit different in Dead Tales, in which you don't have just one standard equipment deck, but you wanted to customize a bit more and make it a bit more strategic what you go for. So on the map, you'll find governor zones and pirate zones. And in these zones, you find different sets of equipment. So for example, if you're looking for more luck-based and just a bunch of pistols, you would go for a pirate zone. If you're looking for something more specific, like a long-range weapon, a combat spell, then you will look for those governor zones and draw from that deck. So this adds some extra variety and more decision to the players in terms of what you're looking for and how to arm yourself and customize your survivor.
Yeah, I got to play this the other night with David and one of the designers of the product. And I really love how those zones are really laid into the art, like the way that it is on the board. It keeps me really immersed in the gameplay in a way that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, this artwork is really, really well done, like Tiago said. The zones are one part of what we wanted to talk about today. And I also wanted to say thanks, everyone. We are navigating somewhat uncharted waters here with people from all over the world. Tiago's in Italy. We're going to have someone else on from Brazil very soon. So we appreciate your patience with the audio. But Tiago, can you tell us a little bit more about the governor deck and the pirate deck, how they're related to those zones?
I think maybe you didn't hear, but I already went through.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't.
Yeah. So, but keeping in the topic of equipment, and like I said, like in the pirate zone, you can deck yourself out with pistols. And one thing that's very, very unique to the pirate game, to Dead Tales, is all the survivors have a baldric, which is basically what used to be your body slot. But the baldric is basically pirates will find pistols and they'll put them in every strap and hope that they can find and just walk around armed to the teeth. And with those baldric weapons, you can basically, in one single action, just fire out 4 or 5 pistols at once in one kind of amazing attack. Of course, then you'll have to reload, you'll have to reset for something like this, but it allows for some really wild action and daring attacks and risking yourself with kind of the misguided trust that you'll be able to do amazing attacks using all the weapons in your baldric.
Yeah, searching in those zones is maybe even more important in this version of Zombicide, because if you can chase those baldric weapons and get 5 of the same one up there, it is very satisfying. But I will warn you, like Tiago just mentioned, you do have to reload each of them separately. And that takes some time, but it is worth it because it packs a ton of punch. And speaking of packing a ton of punch, tell us a little bit about how the cannon works.
Right. Yeah, the cannon is a new artillery piece we have in Dead Tales, and of course, with pirate ships, we had to have cannons, and we tried to design something very, very specific and very team-based, because the cannon, like, it's an amazing artillery piece, able to destroy everything in a zone. You can see there's no range limit, but of course you need to load it, prepare it, you need to aim it, because one unique thing is the token actually has an orientation. So before you fire, you need to make sure it's pointed in the right direction, and then you fire your melee shot. So this is something like on a team, you might have someone come in and load and aim, so then someone else can go and fire and then prep the cannons for the next attack. You really coordinate within the team to make the most out of this weapon.
Yeah, I can't remember. Did you use a cannon when we played at all?
Yeah, I think we did use a cannon after the zone 2 started spawning. We moved the cannon a bit because you can move the cannons around as well. So we moved the cannon down to here, and then we were able to shoot the zombies that were coming from the spawn point.
Kind of like the Baldric weapons, the cannon takes a lot of effort. It's going to take 2 actions to do just practically anything with it. With that said, spoiler alert, there are some abilities that allow some of the players to do it with just 1 action, and it's huge and incredibly satisfying.
Yeah, you do have different skills to do with the rope, like free rope actions and manning the cannons more easily. So these pirate survivors are more geared toward manning their ships.
Yeah, I feel like even in one playthrough, we were able to see a lot of those abilities that modified the ways you can interact with the board. That was really fun.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the board too, and we'll go into more detail with some of these in future streams, and you'll see it on the campaign, but the dashboard has a new danger meter at the bottom. So this is the first time we've added another. It's the purple zone, which is the last zone. It extends the red zone quite a bit, but Tiago, can you tell us a little bit more about the design philosophy behind that?
Yeah, so this is something that had been brewing with Zombicide for a while, and we finally decided to pull the trigger on that entails, which is adjusting the danger levels. And the idea here is to basically make the most out of the game, because oftentimes people wouldn't get to use like their most extreme skills during the game because they wouldn't reach that level until the very end game. So we kind of recalibrated all the danger levels so that you your orange skill and your red skill earlier in the game, you can actually make more use of skills and you can kind of go crazy a bit earlier and escalate, and you really get to that fun mayhem treatment. And then we actually get to the end of the scale, which is it's still the same number of phases, but they're kind of graded. So now you have the pilot zone there, and then you can actually unlock one of the skills that you didn't choose when you first unlock, like orange and red. And you can also go into the whole ultraviolet modes that we used to have with ultra red, picking up new skills. So it's just a more trying to bring as much fun and make the most use of what your survivors can do within the game.
Yeah, it really does bring that power ramp up a lot faster. You're able to enjoy, like Caitlyn said, a lot more of those abilities, and then ultimately potentially even have a choice when you get to purple and re-choosing one of the orange or red abilities, which is pretty satisfying, although I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, we didn't get all the way to purple.
No.
Yeah, and it doesn't,
we gotta play again.
Doesn't really make the game harder or easier, because everything kind of escalates at the same time. You're more powerful, but more zombies are coming in. It just changes a bit the dynamics of how you go through the quest.
All right, Tiago, I need you to raise your mug.
It's a tankard.
Because it's time to talk about Grom. So Tiago's taking a sip of Grom before he tells us all about it.
Oh, yeah, Grom is a very core element in the game. It's a pirate thing. You know, they have access to this amazing elixir called Grom, which you can either find something when you're searching for equipment, or you can actually go and find one of the taverns that are around the board. You reveal the taverns that can also have effects tied to the quest. But then when you're there, you can actually get some Grom tokens, and you accumulate those tokens. And what happens is, when you have some Grom tokens, whenever you attack, you have to roll those very neat Grom dice on your attacks. So you will deal more damage, give you more hits, but no, they come at a cost. You are kind of pushing yourself, you're going wild, and those when you roll a 1 on those dice, you are grounded. You just fall flat on your face, and you'll have to pick yourself back up again. So that's a very dangerous kind of push your luck thing, which is you don't choose every time, but you just build up that Grom reserve, and then when you attack, you kind of spend some of your tokens So you're always kind of going up and down in your stock of Grom and using that to really make amazing. Sometimes, like when you fully load it up, we wanted to allow people to really do those heroic turns, rolling a bunch of extra dice and doing amazing feats with the help of a bit of liquid courage.
Yeah, and it can backfire at times. Like he said, you might fall down, but I have a hunch that when you first start playing Dead Men's Tales, you are going to run to the taverns, basically every scenario, to try to get some Grom until it backfires, and then you kind of probably will change your speed. And speaking of Grom, it is related very much to a lot of the species that are in fantasy Zombicide, and it should be noted, Dead Men's Tales is part of the fantasy Zombicide line, so this is going to involve a lot of different species, and of course how they interact and what characters you choose. It's going to depend on some of their strengths and weaknesses, and some of that has to do with Grom. Tiago, do you want to tell us about some of the species?
Yes, this is something, because we wanted to set our pirate game in the fantasy universe. I think having that mix of, it's not just the mystical pirates, but it is elves and orcs and goblins and dwarves and humans, of course, manning those ships. And we basically wanted to make them more unique and using the Grom as the kind of center of this. Each of these species has a specific, ever-on ability related to it. Like, for example, if you're playing a dwarf, dwarves are very sturdy. They will not go down easily. They will not be down very easily. Whereas a goblin, if they get one bottle of Grom, that's basically like 3 bottles for them, so they get more benefit out of that. An orc loaded with Grom will do a lot of damage. So you have those different ways of how Grom interacts with different species, and everyone has something unique. And that, I think, further makes you feel like you're playing a very unique survivor, besides all your skills and what you do and how you customize it during the game.
Really, I just need to know where the goblins shop for clothing, because I need Dr. Gobtopus's hat.
Yeah,
that's a very, very nice octopus hat.
Dr. Gobtopus is absolutely 100% Caitlyn's favorite character. I don't know if I have a favorite yet, but the whole concept behind everything that Tiago was just talking about sort of like leans into that pirate theme. The pace is faster. You're literally swinging around the board and covering great distances to get. Now that might make you think you can solve puzzles a little easier. It's still challenging. This is still a difficult game. I have won it once in the 4 times I've played it thus far, and it was the last time. But it is a challenging game, and that's just the demo scenario they gave us dummies to play. Speaking of which, we will be playing this soon on another live stream on the Dice Tower, which will share information about that at the end. But like I said, this is all about playing like a pirate. You also, though, not only want to know about the game, but you want to know about the campaign. And Tiago, we are going to ask him some questions here. In fact, I'm just going to put a general question out to Tiago. What will you tell us about the campaign? Because I know you like to keep a lot of things close to the vest.
I can answer any question as long as I use my magic 8-ball. Like, basically, that really allows me to get away with anything you ask me. I'll tell you if it's a yes or a no or a maybe. But yeah, we like to pack our campaigns with lots of surprises and things to reveal as we go along. So I don't know. What do you want to know?
Well, can you tell us a little bit about the different expansions or boxes that might be coming into the campaign?
My reply is no.
I don't want to out Tiago, but I think maybe he's not using the magic 8-ball honestly.
Do not question a magic 8-ball.
You question the Oracle, bad things can come.
I'm sorry. But what can you tell us? Just go ahead and let us know what you can tell us about the campaign, what we've already announced, and then some of what's coming.
Well, of course, like we are going to have more than just this Dead Men's Tales core box in the campaign. We have some expansions and extra packs planned with taking the whole game in very interesting directions, bringing in some cool elements, really exploring the whole pirate theme. And as you saw, we announced previously in the launch page, and we dove a bit deeper in the trailer. This campaign is not just for the Zombicide board game. We also are bringing the Plague Bearer RPG tabletop role-playing game, which, yeah, it's a full RPG based on the Chronicles system, kind of evolved and more developed. We're going to have some stuff for that as well. And we are continuing with the comic series with volume 2 of the Black Play comic. And we are also bringing Company of the Gallows, which is a very famous Italian comic book that we brought into the Zombicide fantasy universe. And we're going to have some comic books for that. And of course, when we do comic books, we also have some extra gameplay things to bring the comics into the board game with extra survivors and abominations, necromancers, all that good stuff.
Sounds like you're really giving us a whole suite of ways to play like a pirate, and I can't wait.
For sure. And Tiago probably couldn't see this, but we snuck in some shadows of boxes there. So eagle-eyed viewers might be able to put together some of what might be coming. I can tell you, this is one of the first times I've been able to see the extent of what we've got in store. And if Tiago's not going to tease it, I will. It's some pretty amazing stuff. I think you'll all be excited to see that stuff revealed next week after the campaign launches, and then in the following weeks after that.
Yeah, and of course, we are going to have stretch goals. We have a whole treasure chest that we're waiting to unlock. And even beyond stretch goals, we have some cool things planned. But all in due time, we're going to have many reveals coming next week.
Yeah, so definitely get into the comments, not only here, but over on the campaign page. We'll talk everything we can share, we will share. There's also some secrets going on in the campaign page.
Yeah, I saw something about a treasure hunt. It seemed really weird.
There is a weird thing going on there, so maybe take a closer look.
You might want to go plundering around on the campaign page.
100%. And speaking of the community on our campaign page, we couldn't do any of this without the community. And we have Helena here from Brazil, so fingers crossed, we bring Helena in here and our audio works well.
Tri-continental stream.
She has been in the comments with you all along, answering hopefully maybe some of your questions, but she's here to bring some of the questions to us and probably more likely Tiago to see if we can answer more for you. Welcome, Helena.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I've been doing live streams for Zombicide for a few years, so some of you might recognize me. Nice to see you all again.
So,
nice to see you.
What have you been seeing in the comments, and what questions could we ask, or ask of Tiago, really?
Yeah, I have 5 comments here that I saw both on the stream and on Gamefound. So this is our Vox Populi, Vox J segment, I guess. Okay, question for any of the creative staff. Why is the booze called Grom and not grog? It seems weird to reinvent a non-copyrighted term. So I guess this is a question for Aranha.
Well, because it's Grom. We're not saying, it is a pirate drink that you can imbibe and get some wild results. And we wanted to keep it within our universe, it's fantasy Zombicide, it's orcs and goblins, and they drink Grom.
I think grog has some other strange effects, but Grom gives you extra dice, and that's what I'm really into. So
Exactly.
I'll take the M.
And there's an M in Zombicide, so it works. What's the next question, Elena?
Okay, so of course people are bringing up compatibility, and the question I selected is, what about compatibility with future versions of Zombicide? People have been talking about past compatibility, but even future compatibility looks like it will be a stretch. Or is this intended to be a complete standalone?
Okay, so yeah, compatibility has something, because we showed some of the event graphics. The thing is, we've been doing fantasy Zombicide alone for a long time. So, we felt that it was time to do some developments, like that the game needs to evolve. Some things had to be improved, had to be stuck with what we've done 10 years ago. And so there were some graphic changes, all gameplay changes, the games continue evolving. So the thing is, what you're seeing in the Menteos is a step into the future of fantasy Zombicide. Basically, as far as future compatibility, future fantasy Zombicide products will use a lot of what Menteos is bringing to the table. Of course, there are things in the Menteos that exclude the pirate thing, like the governor deck, pirate deck, that is something you will only find in the Menteos. But as far as how we structure the survivor ID card, and the abominations, the necromancers, and special zombies, like make that spawn deck work better, that will carry on into future editions of Fantasy Zombicide. And as far as, because people, I have a bunch of all the classic Fantasy Zombicide stuff. We want people to use that as well. So a lot of it can be used. Like, for example, survivors, you can still use all your own survivors in their entails. But because the format of the ID card has changed a little bit, so the old cards won't fit on a new dashboard. One thing we're going to offer people, if they want to use like the new danger bar with the new level and all that, we're going to offer them a set of the old model of the player dashboard with the new danger bar, so that you can just basically get anything you have from previous boxes and bring into the new system basically that Entails is offering. And then as far as like the decks, we are going to offer some of the new cards that you need to use some of the old stuff. But basically, we're going to have some art sleeve packs that allow you to mix whatever you want. Because as far as like gameplay, everything's going to work together. But because we have decks coming in from different sides and they all need to be brought together, we're going to offer like some abominations and necromancers and spawn and equipment art sleeve packs. So you can just combine anything you want, whether you're bringing things forward or trying to use some of the pirate decks into like a Green Horde game or something. You can just mix and match whatever you want. So yeah, we have an eye on compatibility, but of course we want to move forward with the game, the development that needs to be done without losing sight of what everybody is using and they have and they want to bring into new adventures.
So I think depending on whether you're looking forward or backward, it sounds like we have you pretty well covered.
Yeah. And I love the idea that this game is evolving and moving forward, and I can't wait to see what else comes in the future. I know as we've been talking about the future, there's a lot of information that Tiago has for us, and I think that it's coming fast and furious for chat. So they're asking if we can slow down a little bit. They want to absorb all of the pirateness.
It's a lot. I want to talk about everything. There's so much that we won't be able to cover on this live stream and the next one, but there will be lots of info on the page and lots to reveal. We have a long campaign ahead of us where we can really dive into all these goodies.
Having so much to be excited about is a good problem on a campaign, I think.
Yes, we're just going to slow drip it for you a little bit, but we're going to try to get through as much as we can on the stream here. So Helena, was there another question?
Yeah, I saw one. This one's from Gamefound. Why the changing the danger levels?
Well, I think we kind of addressed this already. The main focus is you want people to use all their skills throughout more of the game. That was the basic incentive of it. Having all those skills like orange and red level skills appear earlier in the game so they can be a more active part of the experience, and then kind of balancing everything else around that.
Yeah, and we can tell you firsthand, in my opinion anyway, it just makes for a lot more fun, a lot more quickly in the game. It still gives you something to reach for, though. It's not like the red just happens and then you have nothing else to shoot for. Now you've got purple.
Yeah.
Next question, Helena?
Next question. I have two more.
Okay.
A question I've seen pop up a couple of times. Will this game use AI artwork?
No way, Jose. No, this is, no, we have amazing artists doing 2D artwork, doing sculpting. Their talent is unmatched. We use them, we rely on them, we like them. We are not using AI.
And that's one of the places where when we talk about FFG being such a good home for this game, like the studio at FFG stands for that as well. We use real art in all of our games, and we love the artwork that is coming out in this new product and love the talent that went into creating it.
Yeah, this really is, you can't see this board. I know you saw some images, but even the board in person, it just looks really, really vibrant, more so than I think most other Zombicides in recent past. And what is the last question, Helena?
The last question, the $1 million question. I'm not even sure if you guys can answer at this point because it's pretty early. Any forecasting of when the product will ship? When will our pirates actually board an actual ship and go to people's houses?
Well, I think we actually can answer as far as the estimates. Like we are aiming for a delivery about 1 campaign. So yeah.
Yeah, Tiago, you're probably making people nervous that you're holding the magic 8-ball as you answer that question. So
No,
no.
I was not really sure what was coming. So no, that one I can answer.
Yeah,
we have our ducks in a row.
I can tell you that, with Guillotine being the creative force behind this, along with FFG coming into the mix, and of course Asmodee's resources behind it, this thing will deliver in an expedient amount of time. So thank you, Helena and Tiago, for joining us. I really appreciate you both coming in here today. Tiago, do you want to take another sip of your Grom before we leave?
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm really excited to be working with FFG, to be doing a Zombicide crowdfunding again. I'm an old sailor, but I've been in a remote island, kind of forgotten for a while. It's great to be back, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the comment section and discussing things and teasing things, going back to the old adventures. So look forward to seeing you there.
I think Tiago's actually has maybe not Grom in that cup, now that I'm thinking of it.
Who knows?
Thanks, guys. So that is what we're sharing today for Dead Men Tales. But if you want to know more, the best place to go is the campaign. If you haven't followed already, go over to the campaign page on Gamefound. I'm sure we have a link below in this video to go there and do that. We'll be talking about the game endlessly.
It's been so great getting to know the team as y'all have come into FFG. I've seen on the Gamefound and in the comment section here today the love that the fans have for y'all, and we're so happy to have you here with us at FFG and at Asmodee, and I can't wait to get this campaign launched.
Yeah, and if you want to see a little bit more, we are going to have a live stream over at the Dice Tower on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. I will be there trying to manage the pirates that are playing, but it sounds like it's going to be a really fun time. There's also some preview content up on Board Game Co. So if you want to check out a third-party perspective on the game, you can go check that out as well.
Send Flighty with you. Keep him in line.
Yes. Flighty, by the way, is a zombie pirate or a parrot.
He's hanging on by a thread there. He's been chilling with us. He's ready for the campaign as well.
But thanks for joining us today. And like I said, please join us over on the campaign, and we'll keep the conversation going. Bye-bye.